So I'm Erin. I'm the owner of After 5, which is a women's clothing boutique. So in August, this will be our 5th year, which causes for a big celebration because entrepreneurship is not easy. So 5 years, I feel really proud of that. And then our second business is the Reserve 1/3, which is literally 2 blocks down at the former Therapy Cafe. It's an elevated lounge. I've always really been into fashion. I'm talking about from a young age. I either wanted to be a fashion designer or the president. I didn't do any of those things. I went to college for marketing, and I actually dropped out my freshman year because I had my daughter early in life. And it has always been something near and dear to my heart, but I also love people, and I love making people feel good. When the pandemic hit in 2020, it was kind of like beautiful chaos for me personally, because it was a really trying time for the country, well, the world, but it actually gave me the capacity to sit and really think about what I really wanted to do with my brand and who I was and what I wanted it to be and what I wanted it to represent to my community. And we were able to work from home at that point. So I had a lot of time. It was quite nice. And so I rebranded. I never shut my website down, but I stopped making any posts. And then May 1st of 2020, I relaunched. And ever since then, it's just like that 2020 year, it was slow, but not really. And we increased every month in sales. And then I just put my all into it. In 2021, we just really took off, and it's just been scaling ever since. Our brick and mortar opened May of 2023, but I actually signed my lease December of 2021. So yeah, it was a process. And that's why I always encourage people, don't give up, because it can look bleak, but if you remain the forever optimist and you put positivity in the forefront, just know that the road will pave itself. You just got to stay on it. I've always been very independent because of how I grew up. My mother was a single mother, and I just saw her get so much done alone. And she came from such a gentle, kind woman, my gammy. Her name is Marlene, and she grew up in Tennessee, very poor, and she was the first of her large group of siblings to go to high school and finish, and then go on to college. She was the first Black speech pathologist in Dayton. And then she met my grandfather at OU, and that they were one of the first initial graduating Black classes at Ohio University. And then my grandparents on my father's side were both, one was an educator and one was an engineer in a time when engineering, there weren't a lot of Black men in engineering. And he came from the islands. He was from St. Thomas. So when he came to school in the States, he had a thick accent. So I think because I've come from families that kind of have made a choice to do the difficult thing and made a choice to go the difficult route and made a choice to not give up, that it's almost instilled in me. So I've always had a sense of independence, and I've always had honestly, a bit of a hustle mentality. When I dropped out of college, I had to take care of my daughter. So I was always creatively thinking of how I can take care of my child and myself, because I was a very young adult. And with that creative thinking process, I'm like, there's so many things that I can do. But at that point in my life, time and circumstances just did not, and money did not, it didn't permit, it wasn't feasible for me at that point. You need money to grow your business. People don't talk about it enough, I don't think, that how important capital is. I had to pour a lot of my own money into After 5. Even when we started making money, I was literally having to reinvest it to grow. Keep your 9 to 5 until you don't have to keep your 9 to 5 anymore. That's why don't quit too early, that job, okay? Let's talk about the challenge of opening a brick and mortar, okay? We can talk about that. And I feel now that I have 2 After 5 in the Reserve, I feel like I can speak pretty fluently on it. With After 5, this was a shell. Everything in this space is new. And with that being said, kind of piggybacks the conversation about capital and money and when and knowing how to invest properly so you don't end up going bankrupt, because that can easily be done when you have a big dream. Same thing for the Reserve was an 18-month project for us. And people assumed it was going to be easy and a flip because it was formerly a bar, but no one truly knew the state and condition that space was in. You have to be mentally prepared for that journey because it can be a long one. And there are instances where you want to kind of just say, you know what, this may not, you feel like, oh, you know, it may not be worth it. But kind of goes back to the forever optimistic kind of point of view. You have to look at the glass half full, and you just have to kind of visualize the finish line. Even when it was bare bones, that's all I thought about, like, oh yeah, it's going to be beautiful. I can't wait for these chandeliers to go up, even though that was like 16 months later. But yeah, so yeah, that's what I do. I do that with everything, anytime a challenge presents itself. We are going to be opening up a secondary location. Excuse me. It'll be in Cincinnati. This is always going to be our anchor store. So that concept is smaller, and it's also a dual concept, but I'm not going to, it'll be a surprise when it's announced, but it's a dual concept space as well. So that's what's next for After 5. And then after that, I have like a 5 to 7 year plan. I really would love to get into the manufacturing arm of this business, because I think it'll allow me to create the things I really want to see that can be hard to find through vendors, because that's the process I do now. And then it'll also allow me to be able to help other entrepreneurs, because there are some really wonderful designers. There's really some wonderful apparel brands here in Dayton. I just feel like being able to produce that arm of my company will give other local entrepreneurs the resource where they can actually source what they need here at a much cheaper rate than overseas, or having to go to LA, or having to go to Atlanta, or having to go to New York. Comparison is the thief of joy, and everybody's journey looks and will always be different. And I think that if, as an entrepreneurial community, if we look to support and collaborate more with each other, then it'll help in creating more avenues for those who may be struggling or having challenges in areas that other of us have overcome. I am Erin Parrott, and I am an entrepreneur.